Well, joining us now, NewsNation political and economic contributor Mick Mulvaney. Mick, thank you so much for your time. So we heard from both Kelly and Brooke there. We know what the polls say. We know what the polls have said for weeks. We've seen what have happened in other states. But let's take all of that out of the equation for now. What are the keys to winning in South Carolina?
Nichole, the key to winning in South Carolina is being Donald Trump. There's no other way that's going to shake out any other way. This is Trump country. I hear a lot of folks. I'm in South Carolina. I live right on the state line, so the sign behind me says Charlotte, North Carolina, but I actually from South Carolina. I represented this state in the United States Congress. Here's what happens in South Carolina. I hear all these folks saying, well, independents and Democrats will vote in a Republican primary for Nikki Haley. I get that, and there might be a couple of people. You just showed a video of one of those folks. But put yourself in the mind of a real Democrat. If you're a real Democrat, do you really want Nikki Haley to win, or do you want Donald Trump to be the Republican nominee? Because you probably think, well, Joe Biden can't beat Nikki Haley, but he might be able to beat Donald Trump. So I don't see this argument about Democrats coming out in large numbers to help Nikki Haley. And I don't think the pollsters have seen that either, which is why you've seen Donald Trump with a 30-point-plus lead in most of the polls here in the last week or so. You know,
and Mick, you really do make a good point there. You know, if Democrats are going to vote, you're right, wouldn't they want to vote for the person who, polls show would not beat the current president? But Mick, Haley was the former governor of this state, yet she is the significant underdog. We were just looking at the graphic there. I mean, Trump has 30-point lead over her. He hasn't even, campaigned in this state. He'll be there today. Why is she just not resonating?
I think she's resonating. It's just she hasn't been able to move the needle because they're both well known. People have voted for Donald Trump twice in this state already. People have voted for Nikki Haley for governor twice, and other folks, when she was in the state legislature, have voted for her 3 or 4 or 5 times. So they're both known quantities. There was a very low single digit of undecided voters as recently as 3 and 4 months ago in the state because they know the candidates. And it's not that Nikki Haley is necessarily unpopular. It's that she's less popular than Donald Trump. Keep in mind, you don't get to go in and vote for a couple of people on Saturday. You get to vote for one. And most folks' first choice is going to be Donald Trump. If Donald Trump was off the ballot, if he was gone, if he gets hit by a bus or something like that tomorrow, it could be a tight race with 4 or 5 different people in South Carolina. But with Donald Trump on the ballot, he's going to win tomorrow.
All right. So, Haley reminds voters, or attempts to, that, Trump can't win in the general election. That's what she says. We know he has already lost to Biden once. We talked about it from the Democrat perspective, but from the Republican perspective, why does that not seem to matter to voters?
Yeah, and any candidate will tell you this. I've run for office half a dozen times. Any pollster will tell you this. Any marketing person will tell you this. Vote for me because even though you don't like me, I can beat the person on the other side. That's your 3rd or 4th best argument. That's what you're arguing when nothing else is working. It didn't work for Mitt Romney against Barack Obama. He was the most electable Republican, and he failed. It didn't work for John Kerry. He was the most electable Democrat against George Bush. I'm the most electable is not something that drives people to the polls. It's a low-energy sort of argument, and I don't think it's going to help Nikki very much tomorrow.
Yeah, and we're seeing from the polls, it certainly doesn't seem to be resonating here. Let's look at 2 scenarios here. Let's say Haley wins tomorrow. How significant would that be, and would it really matter in the bigger picture? And if she loses, do you think she will decide to get out of the race?
The second one's easier because she's already said that she wouldn't, and she wants to go to Super Tuesday, and she has the money, importantly, to do that. So let's take her at her word and say she goes all the way on to Super Tuesday. I don't think she has to win tomorrow to actually go to your first example to sort of rock the political world. If she gets within single digits, if Donald Trump gets under 55% tomorrow, that would be top page news come Sunday morning. In fact, anything below 60 is probably perceived by his team as being a little bit weak. So she doesn't have to win. She has to do exactly what she said 2 weeks ago. She said on national television, I need to do better in South Carolina than I did in New Hampshire. She lost New Hampshire by 11. She needs to do that in South Carolina. If she does, she's back in the game. If not, I think it's just sort of become a sideshow until we wait to get to the conventions.
And Mick, my last question for you. I know Haley is saying that she is not getting out regardless of what happens in South Carolina. I also know that sometimes politicians say one thing and then it can change a day, an hour, a minute later. Do you think there's any chance Haley would kind of stick to what she said, possibly get out, but then opt to run on a third-party ticket?
No, I don't see her as a third-party ticket for a variety of reasons. A lot of states, my own, South Carolina included, have what they call no-loser laws. So if you run under one party in a primary, you can't run in a general election under a different party. Whether or not that's constitutional sort of remains to be seen, but that's certainly out there. But if you look at third-party candidates, for example, no labels, they're talking about running a compromise candidate or a unity ticket. Nikki Haley, at the end of the day, is still, and one of the reasons we loved her as our governor was she is a fiscally conservative, pro-life, pro-gun, neoconservative. That's not really down the middle in American politics these days. She's not Larry Hogan. She's not Mitt Romney. So I just don't see her as a viable third-party candidate actually trying to win. Might she run to frustrate Donald Trump? Perhaps. But I don't see her as the traditional third-party candidate. She's too far to the right.
Well, we will certainly see what happens tomorrow, what happens in the coming weeks. Mick Mulvaney, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.